Don't give him a shout out. We're not supposed to do that.
Why not?
Because other people don't do it.
Yeah, it was good. High five.
It's time for the CommanderSmiths. Larry is nerdy to the max. Adam sits back to relax. You'll laugh till you collapse. We're the CommanderSmiths.
I got it. We're the Animaniacs.
Yes.
It took me a little bit. I was like, I
stumbled there in the middle. That makes it really tough.
No, the pickup after that is when I actually caught it. I was like, oh, okay, I got it. I had no idea up until that point. Welcome to CommanderSmiths.
We are the CommanderSmiths.
I'm Adam Smith.
And I'm hungover, obviously. Lowry Smith.
Don't worry.
We're cousins.
Okay, so this is episode, like you said, 105. We have quite a few things on the docket today. What are some of the things we're going to talk about, Lowry?
You have created your Kroxa Spotlight deck.
Yes, it is fucking sweet. And I'm very happy about it.
I think you should be.
I played it probably 70% of the games.
So many.
It was like, I got to test it again. I think
I played against it like 10 times. Yeah. And then we're going to do, so it's not hashtag cards to cut, but like how to cut. We're going to discuss just how we cut cards. And I make it sound simple because it is. But other people struggle over these things.
I'm sure most people are in my boat where it's very tough to cut. You want all those cards in your deck. So we're going to kind of go through good ways, and I might learn something from you, but never.
I think I've said it, but not.
Never
really
listened to it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then we have what else? We have a little bit of a grinds my gears segment. If you guys are following us on Twitter, something kind of funny happened recently over the weekend.
And you called it, but we don't know.
Really, you got time to sleep on it, so now you're not as
I've cooled down.
Fucking rage.
I've cooled down.
Because that's what I was last night. I was like, are you kidding me?
Are you kidding? He said it like 1,000 times.
No, I just, every time I was walking around and no one was around, I just was going, rage, fucking rage.
Clearly it's grinding gears. Yeah. And then we'll do a little bit of gameplay from this weekend as well. So.
Yeah, it was a good weekend for me. I just had it.
Yeah, it wasn't for me, but that's okay.
That's a different point.
That's okay. That's a different.
We'll get into that too. Okay, so we have a few things that we have to talk about. First, new patron this week.
AJ, thank you so much.
You're awesome.
And always appreciate your correspondence on Twitter.
Yeah.
So it's been fun getting to chat with you a bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. And speaking of that, the Pick Your Proxy, this is your Pick Your Proxy month. So you basically have this week to jump in. If you're a patron this week, you can pick any proxy from when we started doing Pick Your Proxy week. Pick Proxy of the week is what.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Just muscle through it.
And then we also have the CommanderSmith giveaway, which is Dockside Extortionist.
So retweet, follow us.
Yep. So we'll kind of retweet that out again so you guys get another chance. That's till the end of the month. And then we'll do a drawing for that bad boy. And depending on how many downloads we get here, which now it looks like we're potentially going to beat next month. It depends on how this last week goes.
Another giveaway.
Potentially. We'll see. If we break it, we'll get it. Then if you hear us next week and we don't even talk about it, and then we're sad because we didn't
We'll ignore it.
Yeah, remember all that hype that we did? No, didn't work out. Okay, so what do we want to start with first?
Kroxa Spotlight.
Doing it?
There. A spotlight deck.
Lots of things going on around us. This is a lot harder to do.
People are cleaning up. We're being jackasses and avoiding it. There's going to be maybe some in and out. Don't know if the mics will pick it up. But,
yeah. So if you hear talking and all that, it's because we're at the, I guess, did we even say that? We're at Guys Weekend.
Yeah.
For our family and friends.
We just get together and play Magic. And drink beer, eat pizza.
Lots of pizza.
How much farts?
Yeah. You and your brother have the worst gas. Your brothers yesterday, Grant, freaking that.
When you say worst, do you mean best?
No. It smelled like there was poop in the air. Like that's how bad it
That's
was.
how farts work.
Well, like it
It's
felt like I was
poop
already
particles
getting.
and then
I was
it hits
already
your
getting
nose
pink eye,
receptors.
like as we were sitting there.
Don't rub your face in the fart
Well,
cloud.
it just
That's silly.
how do you rub your face in a fart cloud?
Because it's like an air pillow. We're going nowhere today.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we did Spotlight Deck button already. So wait, really quick.
A spotlight
There we go.
deck.
Yeah, that was unnecessary. They knew what we were doing.
All right, so I built Kroxa Titan of Death's Hunger. I don't
Oh,
know.
what's that do?
Does a lot of cool stuff. The funny thing
It
is,
just does one thing a bunch of times.
I
Two
built the
things.
deck,
Yeah, forget it.
and like Lowry did 2 weeks ago, and he was all excited to play his Euro deck, and then he left it at home.
Yeah.
I
that was
built the
fucked.
deck, built on my proxies. The only proxy I didn't bring or didn't bring the card was Kroxa. I got here and I was like, shit.
So you've been playing it on your phone.
Yeah, my
the
head.
entire time.
I put a digital image of Kroxa up, and then
And and you literally played that deck
I played it
10, 13 times.
if we played that many times. But
We
yeah.
did. We did.
I played it a lot.
Easy.
But Kroxa, it's off the new Theros.
We did at least 24 hours of Magic. 12 hours on Friday. At least 12 hours on Saturday.
And we did 2
And then you
hours
did the night
on
before, and you guys probably
Thursday.
got a game or two in.
2
before we
games
got there.
in.
Yeah, so you
Yes,
got a
both
bit
were
more.
Kroxa.
Yeah.
So what it is it's 1 black, 1 red, comes in 6/6. When it comes into the battlefield, sacrifice unless it escaped. But when it enters
That
the
doesn't
battlefield,
happen often.
yeah, I don't think it ever. I don't ever
You
had.
might have done it one time.
Well, I never had. Oh, you mean the escape part?
Yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say, but I never kept it on the battlefield. You at
No.
least your Euros stayed on
Shit.
a
Very
couple.
disappointed in that one.
You had such a Euro boner. Just you were so excited.
It did. It just did exactly what I thought it was, which was nothing. Draw cards, gain life. There's I never drew a win con ever.
Well, Kroxa, what he does is when he enters, each opponent discards a card. Then, if you discarded a land or you didn't discard, the wording on this is so fucking weird, but it says, then each opponent who didn't discard a non-land, it seems like a double negative. They
Yeah.
lose 3 life. So the easy way to think of it is, if you discard a land or you don't discard, you lose 3 life. Anything else, you don't lose any life.
Yeah.
So, and then the escape cost on it is 2 black, 2 red. Exile 5 other cards from your graveyard.
Yeah, and this is it'll be interesting to see. I know we're not doing Spotlight, but just gameplay a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how people adjust to it, because it really didn't. It would normally empty out one person's hand, and then they were just kind of fucked and taking the 3 damage, and other people were discarding cards and drawing enough cards. Because if you weren't quick enough, it seemed like if you weren't quick enough to get your card draw down, then you'd lose your card draw and never recover.
Yeah.
That's basically how it played against.
Because we were playing 5 people most of the time with this.
Yeah.
4 other opponents. There was at least 1 or 2 people that had Ristic Study out, which wasn't helping, or Smothering Tide. We saw that so much this
Smothering
weekend.
Tide was
So
all over the place.
there was always 1 or 2 players that were drawing enough that it didn't affect them as bad.
I mean, Smothering Tide should have probably been in the Power 9, right?
Grinds my
Maybe-
gears. Are you
maybe
trying
I'm-
to do this early? Are you trying to do this early? Oh, we got some shit stolen and no credit.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
No credit. All right. Anyways, it's just a
It's a good idea. No, okay.
forecast into what we're going to talk about in a little bit. Okay. So,
I'm the calm one.
yeah.
would've been fun.
Larry's all super nice and won't offend anybody. I was just like,
Minnesota
let's
nice, just
burn
like-
this place.
Down.
I was the one sending out the tweet and the comments. But I got approval from you first. I was like,
I do
Lowry.
enjoy that. I sent my text going, we're trying to figure out what to do. 1 minute later, you're like, I'm going to send this. Just like, fuck. All right.
Okay, back to
Kroxa.
back to.
A spotlight deck.
They know.
I know.
They know.
So there's a couple angles that you could do. I feel like the easiest way to do this deck is you have Kroxa, and then you just have a bunch of spells that do the same thing. So you're just trying to wipe out somebody's hand.
Yeah, discard hand, damage, Megrum,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So-
whenever an opponent discards a card, they take 2 damage, and then also the Kroxa triggers or anything else.
Yep.
And that's not
like,
what you did.
Nope. I had those originally on there, but I was like, this is the way that probably 90% of the people are going to go with, that being in play. I more was trying to use Kroxa as the discard person.
Sure.
And not have other cards do it. I do have, I think, a couple in here, but mostly it was Kroxa's doing most of the work. And I'm hoping to keep the board clear and keep people from playing a lot of stuff. I have 5 Planeswalkers in this deck, which is more than I normally play. And so there's a couple things in there where I might, like, my Day of Dragons is being able to take all the creatures and kill everybody with it. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So it's a different look on it. What I was more focused on was bringing Kroxa, which is the cool thing that Lowry had Euro, and I had Kroxa. Euro, you always had going to the command zone. I always go, like, Kroxa would always go to my graveyard for the most part.
It was a little bit different every once in a while. Like, once I got over 5, I wanted it to go into the graveyard, and just escape from there.
Yeah. But, I mean, for the most part, I never tried to go to unless it was forced to, like it got exiled or something like that.
I was like, but Jokabog, that only makes it so that you cast it for 4 and then continue to repeat it after.
So what Larry's forecasting with there too is our foreshadowing or whatever.
Backshadow?
No, we're not backshadowing yet.
I forgot the meaning of it.
Is I played a lot of fork kind of spells. Actually, why don't we just start with those?
Yeah.
Fork spells. So these are, I have about 7 or 8 different forking abilities. There's the literal
fork, which is reserve list.
Yeah.
BT dubs. Reverberate is not the same card. And so what that does is any spell on the stack, you are essentially copying it. And you can choose new targets.
So I have, I think, 5 like fork type spells where it's copying the spell. You have reverberate. You have all the other
Chandra. Yeah.
Well, no. I'm just saying of that.
Yeah.
But part of that was I can use that to if other people are casting something, I could potentially copy that as well. So fork, it's not only going to copy my stuff, but I have the ability of like counter spells or Cyclonic Rift, like copying their Teferi's Protection.
At least it goes back to theirs, or you're getting out of there too.
Yeah. So it has a little bit of. I wanted to do this actually with Perforos, and it just didn't make sense because Perforos is indestructible. So it's a lot tougher to kill Perforos.
Oh, and the thing that we learned this week was like Finale of Devastation is pretty good. So you fork that'd be sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, if you didn't know.
Yeah. It'd be ridiculous. Good. Yeah.
Because it gives haste and everything else.
It's a ridiculous card. Okay, so then the other 2 guys.
We have
just flinging the
card across the Chandra, the Firebrand.
So basically, that's one of the Planeswalkers. Her main thing is the minus ability. So
to copy the next spell you play.
Instant or sorcery you play. So that helped out a lot because it's casting. So I have a lot of return stuff, and we'll get to that one in the next package. But just getting her out, and if you're laughing because it said package, or just we're all over the place.
No, you said package.
No, that's not why I'm laughing. Yes, that's why I'm laughing. I see a butt crack. You need to shave that butt crack.
I was going to say it looked like they shaved. Baboons over there.
Oh, this is all getting cut. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
I feel like the butt crack part should be.
Yeah. We're getting mooned while we're doing our podcast.
Yeah.
This is why
not anymore. They're gone.
This is why we do our podcast at our place and no other people around.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
I mean, it's still weird.
So then this actually I cast once.
Finale of Promise.
Yeah. So
that worked out quite well too.
So if you hit the 10 part of it, if you just cast it, you get to copy target instant or sorcery in your graveyard.
If you essentially kick it over 12 or like 12 plus, you get to do it. You copy those spells too
twice.
Yeah.
So you do 2 instants and 2 source, the same one twice. Yeah. So I did that because I knew it wasn't probably the right play, but I was like, I'm never going to get to do this again. So I was able to do that, discard everybody down, whatever. And
that was a lot of triggers.
Yeah. I think was that a game you ended up winning?
I don't remember anything
from
this weekend.
All right. So the spells that you really want to copy are the return trigger stuff. So there's a couple.
So Profane Command, which is pretty sweet, but you're able to return a target creature with X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's the main one, and then you can choose like target player loses X life, a creature gets -X, and target creature gains fear up to X. Like
that
a lot.
out.
You can choose twice. Yeah, that was a nice card.
Because I was able to. That was one that I copied, and I was killing two things at the same time as playing Kroxa twice.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty. I like that card being in there, and again, we've talked about that before. When you have options to pick from, it's kind of nice in the situation. So,
and then two pretty similar would be Unearth and Claim to Fame, and that's a split card right there. But they just return really cheap creatures back from your graveyard into play.
And that's the nice thing.
Kroxa is
two
cheap.
And that works perfect because I think isn't Claim for 2 or less. Yeah, so Claim works for convert a mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to
Unearth is
battlefield.
3 or less.
Yeah, so those two are just
you'll never cycle Unearth.
No.
Never.
And then a couple of things with like instant. So sometimes I wanted to do this, and this is the dick thing. I didn't ever do it to screw somebody over, but if somebody's lacking cards, like they don't have any cards, and it's if I really want to,
I don't want them to have it.
Yeah, on their turn, instant speed, bring in a creature,
Shallow Grave or Necromancy or Goryo's Vengeance.
Yeah, so you can be a dick with that.
You don't get that card.
I only did
unless
it.
It's an instant.
I did it when you had cast Pain of the one where if you cast a spell, discard a card or lose 5 life.
Painful Quandary.
Yeah. So you cast that, and I was like, nah, let me get this out of the way because I'm gonna do it, and I don't want to get hurt by it. So that was the cool. Like, those are the pizza and beer of the. No, it's not the pizza and the beer because the pizza and beer of the deck is later. But those are that's the main idea of the deck. That
I'm not sure that analogy works.
Yeah. Yes, it does. That's all we've done this weekend. It's pizza and beer. And Trombley putting sugar into Mountain Dew.
But that, yeah.
Then he turned into like my 5-year-old after his head just went crazy.
It was impressive.
Yeah. But anyways. So the other part of it is you don't want the drawing part. This has 2 ways of doing it. You can do Kroxa right away because, it's 2 turns in. You can just be like, all right, second turn, everybody discard a card. Whittle people's hands down. But you need a way to set up that when you do Kroxa, you're getting a benefit from him coming into play and going to the graveyard. So I put quite a few in this deck, and these are just some of the ones that stand out a little bit more.
Liliana, Dreadhorde General.
And just her static ability is
whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. So you're drawing a card off of Kroxa and any other creatures that are dying on your board. Haunt of High Tower. I'm assuming that what you're going for is whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on it.
That was more...
So it just gets big quick.
And it
there's
has
only
discard 3 life gainers in this deck, and this is one of them. But it's interesting because it's just the discard. He gets an advantage, get around to my turn, and then I can gain my life back with him.
Midnight Reaper, whenever you have a non-token creature die, deals 1 damage to you, draw a card.
There's
that one.
Yeah, that's a life gain, yep.
Ira, first of Lothwain. So that one's whenever a black creature enters the battlefield, everybody's dealt a damage, you gain a life. And that worked well.
Yeah.
Kind of. Like, I saw it and was like, I
gotta kill it. Yeah, because it was about to go crazy.
While it's going. So that's a solid card in there.
And pretty similar as this one.
Yeah, Sir Conrad the Grim. Whenever a creature enters your graveyard, or enters or leaves.
So you get 2 triggers off of Kroxa with that. Never got him out.
Like yeah, I didn't
but
see it.
If potentially the idea is everybody's losing 2 life off of that. So
that seemed cool. And then Yawgmoth, the Thran Physician, which is a badass card anyway, but super good in this too because you sacrifice
it, put a -1/-1 counter on a creature, and you get to draw a card.
You lose a life though.
No,
it's good. It worked really well to just kind of control the board.
Well, that was kind of my worry before going into this. I said it to you. I was like, I have my sideboard stuff of the life stuff because I don't have Blood Artists in here. I don't have like the normal, hey, when creatures die, everybody loses a life, you gain a life. I strictly have kind of gone with I'm doing making everybody's hands get discarded and then taking over by controlling the board. But so the two are. So like I said, I was heavy on the Planeswalkers. There are a couple things that I do have mass discard, but they're on Planeswalkers, so we got these two.
Yeah. So Angrath the Flame Chained and Liliana the Veil, they're there to essentially have your opponents each discard a card. Angrath deals 2 damage on top of that. Just kind of helps to like further the discard issue that you create.
Yeah. And then, like I mentioned, controlling the board, I think I have about 7 destroy creature, just board wipes throughout the deck.
Yeah, because you don't end up having a ton. Sometimes you do, but Damnation, which is destroy all creatures that can't be regenerated. Dread of Winter, which because you have snowlands in here.
Yep.
So for each basic land you have, all creatures essentially get -X/-X. Then
each basic snow covered, yeah.
Yeah. And then Last One Standing, which is
wanted to cast
randomly destroy or keep 1 creature alive, then destroy all the rest.
Yeah. So there's 7 board wipes, 3 of which are -X/-X ones, so that I can get around the indestructible creatures, or at least if they're big enough, keep them down a little bit. But the funny thing is, I played, let's say, 70% of the games with that deck, and I only board wiped once, and I never had it in my hand. I did have the Dead of Winter.
Dead of Winter.
Dead of Winter.
Oh, is it dead? All right.
Dead of Winter. Me. I did have Dead of Winter in my hand a couple times, just never cast it because it just didn't fit. So that part I'm not sure on now. I'm still testing that out to see if I want to take maybe a couple of those board wipes away, because we never got to that point where I needed to kill everything because there were so many on the board and I didn't have stuff. But like you said, some of my things, I did have creatures out, and sometimes I need the benefit from those to stay in play with Kroxa and everything. So I'm still weighing that out. Now, this would be, I guess, the pizza and beer of it. These are the fun cards of this deck. Yeah, this card is what you had talked, or it was in your deck last week.
Lifeline is insane with these Titans.
Yeah, never got to play it, but I had it. I just didn't get a chance to get that out.
That'd be real bad. Chainer, Nightmare, Adept, discard a card. You can cast a creature card from your graveyard.
So that's a cool thing you get around. You can cast Kroxa for 2 instead of doing the escape stuff.
And you end up with a lot of extra land in your hand anyway.
Yeah.
You draw really well with this deck. Mimic Vat, that's a son of a bitch card.
Yeah, so you put Kroxa comes in, then you can have that get exiled, goes to your command zone, and then you can tap 3, do Kroxa again, then you can cast Kroxa from there, and then everything. But then at that point, when Kroxa goes to the graveyard, you can just have that go to the graveyard. Lowry's checking to make sure I'm right.
I don't know if that part works. You didn't end up doing it. I don't
think.
No,
I know. And
you're saying like it has to be imprinted on it. So if it goes into the command zone, I don't think that would work.
Oh, it stays on it. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like imprinted in it. So I don't think you can do those kind of tricks with it.
Then this might not stay because I really want to keep attacking or targeting him in the graveyard.
Yeah,
because if he's imprinted, then I can only do it once. Yeah. So that might get a cut. Cut that whole part. It still might not be bad because it is. You get to decide situation wise. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. That maybe that's one of the ones. But like you said, I never got a chance to play Mimic Vat with there.
Mirage Mirror, which is a staple for you.
But the reason why this is cool in this is the idea is you have Mirage Mirror out, you play Kroxa, before it dies, you copy it, you kill off that one,
and can attack,
and then attack with Mirage Mirror. So you're hitting with Mirage Mirror as an attack and doing the same thing again.
And I was kind of thinking along the lines of like, Mirage Mirror, I don't probably use it as much as you, but a nice thing is it can be like a whole filler for your deck. Like if it's having a problem with enchantments and maybe somebody has an aura shards and you're like, okay, I'm going to copy this also, kill off these enchantments or artifacts. So like it can be, aura shards would suck for either of those decks, but maybe it fills a hole. Depends on how things are going.
Yeah,
too.
I love having that card in decks.
Doom Whisperer.
I got to use the crap out of that one.
I walked away at that point.
The nice thing with Doom Whisperer is it's a pay 2 life, which again that's the life losing part that's hard. But I was able to. So sometimes you might want to escape Kroxa out of the graveyard. You're able to fill your graveyard up by just paying 2, putting 2 into the graveyard. Or if you're setting your top as well, trying to get your next turn right. But that's what I was doing. I was like, okay, I need something to save me here and also fill my graveyard up. I ended up using it. I think I paid 14 life. Yeah, but it filled that graveyard up. But again, the life loss and not as much life gain in it is still kind of tough. But I think it was I think if maybe I'll add in 1 or 2 more to get it so that because I do have a lot of pain life in this deck, and so I think this is
Shadow Spear.
Yeah,
That's so good.
yeah.
Okay, so then some Graveyard Yard Recursion with Feldon of the Third Path, which is a great card.
So you just copy Kroxa from the graveyard token.
Yeah. And then Nightmare Shepherd, which seemed pretty sweet in this deck too.
That was fun to have that. So Kroxa goes to the graveyard. The problem is you do have to exile it.
Yeah.
So it makes
it's kind of like the
1/1.
last thing you do after like
you're done with copying and doing all that stuff. And then you have it go to your command zone at that
my
point.
voice keeps cracking. Talked way too much.
But yeah, so that seemed to work pretty well. I think that's a good card in general for like it ended up working with other things. I think it did my whatchamacallit. We just need to figure out a digi token for it
I think you brought it back like Yawgmoth.
Yeah, it was Yawgmoth
Okay,
turned
we
into a
killed it.
1/1. Yeah.
And you don't use it for its power toughness.
Exactly. So
Erratic Portal.
So that one is the tap. Was it 1 or 2?
Tap 1, tap it, return a creature to target player's hand unless they pay 1. Well,
So the idea is play Kroxa, tap 1, bring it to your hand so it doesn't go to your graveyard. Tap 2 again to be able
Do
to
it
just
again.
cast it.
Yeah.
So it's a way to get around having to do the escape and all that stuff.
yeah, it's a little bit what I was doing with Crystal Shard
Yeah.
in Euro. So there is some overlap and some just really good ideas to do with the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And so like mine was like bounce and yours is like recursion.
Yeah.
So-
And the interesting
then
thing,
bounce here,
same
too.
thing with your Crystal Shard when you talked about that. You can do this to other people's creatures too. If they're all tapped out and you're like, well, all right, well, bounce
Return that back to your hand.
Yeah. So never got to play that one. I never got to play this one either.
I've always found Erratic Portal be a little bit expensive, but again, in this, you're going to be using it more often with Kroxa. So Cauldron of Souls, which is a good card.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, my Cakis is kind of an interesting because Undying
Macias.
my Cakis.
My cakes.
I don't have it as my card here. I have it as in our deck on tapped out, but for some reason I did not get. So that's probably going to take the place of
Mimic Fat.
Mimic back there.
Yeah,
But so those two, because one's Undying, one's Persist. So you get a couple triggers off of that at least. So if you gave it Persist, Kroxa comes in, dies, comes back, it loses that counter, dies again,
that
comes back with the Undying counter. So you'd hit 3 times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that would die and then be dead at that point. So you're not going to get both of these out, but they both do similar things, being able to do it twice with them. And that's kind of the main idea of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a Panharmonicon.
Oh, foreshadowing to the next card.
Also in this deck. So that doubles up the triggers for discarding twice. They're taking...
Panharmonicon, just a fucking good card.
It's a good card.
Yeah.
It's a good card.
These two did some work.
Yeah,
these last two
they're
here.
real fucking good. Geth's Grimoire, which is whenever an opponent discards a card, you get to draw a card.
That was pretty ridiculous.
And then Waste Not, which is whenever an opponent discards a land card, you get 2 black mana, or you draw a card if it's a non-creature, non-land, and then if it's a creature, you get a 2/2 zombie.
This is where I went off.
It's fucking bonkers.
Because I was mana screwed for the first that one game. I only had one color. I didn't have red. I had.
But then you just start drawing into a land, into more spells.
It was crazy because it depended on whatever I discarded, and people want, at that point, people were getting rid of their land. I was like, all right. Then I drew into this next one, and then I'll cast this, return them from the graveyard, bring them back.
Yeah.
So it
because the thing is like we should probably, when that's going on, like the table should be like, okay, we can't give him mana.
Yeah.
Or we can't let him draw cards. We can't, like, I think a problem was we were going like, all right, you get 4 black mana, draw another card, and you get a zombie. And so like then you're like, okay, draw another card. I got 4 mana. Let's do that. And then the next one would be like, you get to add 2, but you get to draw 3 cards.
Yeah.
And like you're always gaining mana and drawing cards. And if everybody was just like, just give him mana, don't let him draw, or he doesn't have any mana, just let him draw.
Yeah, it seemed
Like,
to hit.
Do both. Doing both was just like, shit, he's just going to keep on doing this.
I mean, there were times that I probably cast him, 4 or 5 times in a turn. It was awesome all-star.
And with
deck.
these two going on, when you did have it going on one time, I was playing Xantia, which is red-black. I also had Waste Not in play, but you used yours to a much better extent because I was getting a lot more triggers during your turn.
Yeah, but
and couldn't use the mana.
You're like, what are you going to discard? Because I had my whole hand full and I had to discard, and I was like, I'll land.
Yeah, and then I'll be like
shit.
14, which can't do anything. That was disappointing.
Yeah. So okay,
because with Xantia, the point would be with it as well is just like dumping that mana into drawing cards and pinging the person.
Yeah.
Well, nobody wanted Xantia out.
Yeah.
So it didn't last.
Yeah. So the Day of Dragons of this deck are kind of 2 cards. I have one that's still on the sideboard of it, but it's does a similar thing to Liliana here.
So Liliana Vess into the minus.
Yeah. So
put all creature cards from all graveyards into the battlefield under your control.
So
-8 that.
If I'm controlling the board correctly and I am able to keep plussing my planeswalkers, I potentially can do her ultimate ability. The Dark Realms, what is it? Is that what it's called?
Rise from the Dark Realms.
Rise from the that's on the side with this one. I had it in here, one of the last cuts in there, but I was like, well, I have Liliana. That'll be one of my, if I can get to that ultimates with her. But the other one that's a freaking all-star in this is
Torment of Hellfire.
Yeah, that's the Day of Dragons kind of in this. And I was able to do it once for 8, which wrecked pretty good. But what we had talked about before the cast is imagine that copied, duplicated. So you're doing freaking 16. I mean, that can just win the game. And that's the thing is I have quite a few spells where I'm copying, and that's the point of this is making multiples happen. So that is late game. I'm holding on to that, controlling the game, controlling the board.
And as people slowly go down during a game, then you're putting them within shot.
Yeah.
Close. They're emptying their hand or they're getting rid of all their board. And then if, they discard their hand, essentially, Kroxa is just dealing them 3 damage every time he comes in later if they survive. So, yeah, that pairs well.
I will say 2 other things I forgot to put in for us to go through is Revel in Riches is a pretty good add in here because you're killing creatures off by board wiping. You're getting treasure tokens. There is a win con there as well. But Blood Chief Ascension is also pretty brutal.
Yeah, Blood Chief Ascension was pretty good because that's hitting Kroxa's hitting anybody that's not discarding properly. They take 3 damage, and each opponent will trigger that. So at the end of your turn, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Or if 2 people, then it's 1, 2.
Yeah.
So like that can add up really quick when you have Kroxa going.
And then at that point after that, as you go and you get people to discard from Kroxa, then they're losing life and you're gaining life from that. So
also that.
So overall, I really liked this deck. It was really fun to play, even though it didn't necessarily. I think it got a couple wins under its belt. It didn't, win all the time with that or me playing there, but it kept the board under control. It kind of sometimes it did screw over a couple people, and
normally it felt like won a game, but sometimes 2, sometimes none.
Yeah,
like it just kind of. But it felt like at least one person was getting screwed.
How did you feel about facing it? Because it was something that was, that was my worry is like people having to discard. How does it feel? That part of it.
The biggest part for me was just like you're triggering it multiple times within a turn. Your turns are really long, but you weren't wrong that like most of it's just everybody deciding what to discard, and then you going discard again, and then you'd have to make that decision. It'd be if you could streamline it by just going I'm going to be able to do this at least twice that I know of. then it's like, okay, I need to discard 2 cards. And so you can cut down decision making per se. And it's like, I might draw into more.
Yeah. And that's actually what happened a lot of times.
You did start going, I'm going to draw into stuff.
Yeah. And there was multiple times and they're very cheap casting. And that's the other thing about this deck is this is probably my lowest CMC convert amount of cost, or, it's in the low 3s, like 3.12 or something like that. So there is mono rocks in here as well. I think I have 6 or 7 of those as well. But it's by far my lowest deck. So that's kind of the nice thing when you draw into it. You're able to keep casting these things. But yes,
that's how it felt. It just felt like really long turns.
Yeah,
and then can't blame you. That's how it's working. But
well, that was what Trombley is like. Are you going to make me discard? I only have 2 cards. So are you going to make me do this again? I was like, I don't have another one in my hand. And then because Waste Not was out, I drew into it. And I was like, yep, I guess I am doing it again.
So that did happen. I think cutting down on the opponents.
Yeah, we did have 4 people.
Yeah, there was 4 people. So everybody's making that decision. Joe was playing a bunch of your decks.
I should say we had 5 people, but I had 4 opponents.
Yeah. So I think that part, just trying to streamline it, and maybe if you're playing a Kroxa deck, just understand like, okay, what would I like? I was started ordering my cards into what do I want to? Yeah, at least So it's like front was the important, back was the unimportant. Then just pick between the last.
That makes
2.
me feel good that you're ordering for my Kroxa.
Yeah, because it was just gonna happen. I was like, okay, what cards do I still want to have end up in my hand if this kind of happens? Because I was one of the games I was playing Feather and I dominated, but
good for you. Oh man, I gotta get back to that button.
It doesn't.
Oh, good for you.
Yes. It's a half cocky. I only won 2 games because I got targeted. I got targeted out.
We were trying. The beginning was winless Lowry weekend or hashtag 0 win weekend for Lowry.
Because with Kenrith, I got down to 1 or 2 live.
Very close to getting Nick. We might as well get into gameplay. We're getting into it now. But Nikia, the last game of the night or the weekend.
There wasn't any way because I was at 1. There wasn't any way to go.
And I had a Blood Artist out with my Tesa deck. And
we would have all died. That's what I was going for.
And then Trombley Maze of Ithit.
Okay, yeah. So I had Nikia and I had 12 creatures out, 10 that could attack, and end up.
You know what?
What?
We should do this properly. We're going into gameplay.
Whole song, huh?
Yeah, hell yeah.
All right.
All right, gameplay.
So at the end of the game, I have 10 creatures that can attack. They all got +12 and trample from Craterhoof Behemoth. I was tapped out that way, and I was just like, well, that would kill you, that would kill you, that kills you, and that kills Trombley. I was like, Trombley should be Maze of Ithing that creature, and he did not.
He Maze of
Ith, the creature that would have killed Adam. So Adam ended up going to 3, and I was at 1.
And
Blood Artist trigger for his 1 creature that died.
Actually, it was 4 of them.
Yeah. So, and then Adam won at like 3. Which is...
Actually, no, it would have been more because I didn't even catch that. I would have gained life from the Blood Artist, so I would have been at 6.
But but that didn't matter because I was dead.
Yeah, but that was pretty funny.
Yeah, there was some interesting things.
So yeah, that was an interesting way to end the night. I actually thought for a quick second there that it was just going to be an all-out. Everybody died at that point.
I was hoping that because I was at 1. I was like, "There's no way I'm surviving a round."
Yeah. Was
and you're just like, why don't you take this? It's like, I'm tapped out. Craterhoof kills everybody.
Yeah, because you did have Captivating Crew, which steals.
I could have stolen like a Chroma and the Blood Artist and then gained maybe a little life. But the thing would be is like none of my creatures would die. Nothing had trample. Might have been able to kill 2 and gain like 3 life. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then you'd gain your Blood Artist back and just kill me.
That was fun. I won a lot of games, and I didn't. It wasn't like dominant. It was like, I guess.
Cool story, Hansel.
Wrong one. This one.
Oh, good.
Is that what you're looking for?
Thank you.
Do it to myself. Hey, I am not the Lowry of bragging about the wins and poking.
No, you absolutely
poking
are.
the table.
Just nobody cares. they let you slide with your talk.
I didn't say anything.
With your,
just sit back.
you just literally was like, I won a lot of games.
Well, I haven't
No
said
big
anything
deal.
until this point.
No big deal.
You, when you were
Now I
winning,
understand
your
how you
winning
guys
weekend, your winning weekend, or
And I still
last
don't care.
weekend, and you were just like, "Oh, I wish you guys would build good decks."
That's pretty funny.
Yeah,
I'm,
fucking dick.
I'm funny.
You're really good at humble bragging. Sick brag, bro. But yeah, the overall one of the fun ones I liked was Perforos. That was one of my favorite wins that I did have. Was the
Yeah, that son of
that son of a bitch.
I didn't say that.
It's just
Okay, so it was my I think it was my first Euro game or the second one, but so
it was the
I have-
first game.
I
Yeah.
had Panharmonicon on in Crucible Worlds, and
There was one other
like
thing. I
Command
took from
Sphere
you.
or something maybe.
Yeah.
But Adam cheats in the Hellkite Tyrant that steals all the artifacts when you're hit. Well, I got like one double trigger with the Panharmonicon. Then he hits me with it, steals all my artifacts. I'm like, fuck, it slowed me down a ton.
And then I played what's her name? The
Fanatic Amogus
yeah,
with Panharmonicon, which
Panharmonicon.
dealt us 14
So the
damage.
14 damage right there. And then I was trying to kill it, and I was like, damn, I shouldn't have. I think I hard casted instead of Perforosed into play. I don't think I had the mana right or something or whatever. Or no, I did the drag. I did something before. That's what it is. I had taken your stuff. Then on my second main phase, I cast it. And then did the damage to everybody. And then I was trying to get it killed. I attacked Trombley the next turn with it. He didn't block it.
I missed it. So you attacked into me.
And then, well, because it was towards the end of the
I
game,
blocked a
everybody
kill.
was
Yeah.
at 13 or lower. And so I'm like, I attacked Lowry with that and a bigger creature. And you blocked and killed that. And then I attacked Trombley and Joe. And then when that died, it went under. And that's when I had Mimic Vat out. Under
Yeah.
Mimic Vat. And
you copied it. And we all die.
And everybody took 14 again. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. That was one of my favorite wins. Yuriko did a really good one last night when we had one. That one did its thing. That was hard to deal with, but it took a little bit. Just Yuriko gets targeted by you when I play that deck. I've noticed that when I get that deck out, I'm like, Lowry just comes at me and I can't deal. It's like, oh shit! Like
I
no
have a
one.
good prostate.
There was a lot of dick and fart jokes, not fart jokes. There was a
all
lot of dick jokes, just to say, this weekend. But yeah, so when I play that deck, I have to know if Lowry's in the game, I'm going to be attacked a lot.
Yeah, just gotta. It's the deck where we could all be down in the teens and you're still 30 somethings, and it's just like, fuck, I can't block any of your shit. You
Yeah.
don't want to be blocking with any of your shit, so you half-ass leave yourself open until you don't.
I make it look like, oh, I have a 1/1 flyer
Yeah.
here that I can block with, when it's like, no, I actually want that.
And so I just try and keep you like not as at high life, because basically what happens is you drain us like twice in a row. We're all in the lower 20s or something. Then people start going, God,
Where's my life?
And then you're still up at 40. Nobody's touched you, and I'm just like, all right. Now I just kind of try and keep you in the like lower 30s while we're in the lower 20s. Keep you within like 10 points at least, so that it's not too late when people figure it out.
Hint,
coming.
hint. Kill Adam.
Yeah.
No, I did notice that from
Or just your local Eureka player.
this weekend with that is when I played it and I was like, why is Larry attacking me? And then use that. You're like, I just know what that deck can do and I need to get those out. And I'm like, oh, okay. Good point.
Get you down within a range where can be hit.
Yeah. But your Feather deck did freaking what Feather does. I would say your Nikia deck did what Nikia does, but you just got screwed at the end. But Feather went crazy.
Nikia.
Feather's hard. And I was playing it with Kroxa, so I was trying to get you to discard your spells, but a lot of your instants had draws on them. So you were just like, cast this, draw those draw cards,
and then be able to like not discard my draw cards because they're exiled.
Mhm.
And then if I probably drew into something worse, but it also wasn't pinging me for 3 damage either.
Yeah.
So Feather was pretty sweet.
Yeah, you were able
as
to
always. I don't think that's a surprise.
Yeah, it's a good. That's that and Nikia are one of my favorite, or your hardest decks to deal with, I think, because if you let Nikia go, because it's like, well, he's not doing much, but once Nikia gets out and you're just like, that one turn you just dropped like 7 or 8 creatures in that whole turn. It's just like, what is going on? But then what was your other win you had there?
Kenrith, King Returned.
Oh yeah.
I got down to like 1 or 2, and I had a Wilderness Reclamation, so untapping all my lands at the end of the turn. I was down at 2, played Kenrith, untap all my lands, gained 30 life.
Yeah,
or like 20. It might have been like 20.
Stupid.
And then I think I went all the way back down to like with under 10. It was like 5 or 8 or something. And I was like, okay, that was the shot. I got it. And then gained enough life to just put it out. Like it was too hard to come back. And that was against Joe.
Yeah,
I don't remember what he was playing.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Because I got pretty lucky that other people were dying, and I was just so close. So, but Training Grounds is dirty.
Side note: my brother Joe was playing Niv Mizzet. So the first night when we got here was me, Trombley, and Joe, and he played Niv Mizzet. And we preach about that we don't do combo or infinite combos and all that stuff in our decks. Well, I guess I have a couple. They're not infinite,
yeah.
But it's what is it? Curiosity.
So whenever Niv deals a damage, he draws a card. Whenever you draw a card, deals a damage. And so as many cards as you have in your deck, you can deal that much damage individually to creatures or players or whatever.
So in theory, when you have 3 other opponents, you don't have over 120 cards in the deck. So.
Yeah. And you gotta play that late game, and hopefully it feels infinite, but it does have a stop on it, unless you want to just self-kill yourself.
So we both, Trombley and I, lost to that deck both the same way that night. Like he did the infinite quote unquote, and so then I'm like, oh, you know what? It's not infinite. It's depending on your deck size. So when we have 4 people, and then he did it when we had 4 people, I was like, shit. So that was kind of the threat to keep going back to Niv Mizzet, because it was we wanted to see if it worked with 5 people. I don't think it would have worked with 5 people. That would have been a lot tougher. We should have tested it.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
A fun little interaction that I had with Royal Elemental ruined our day. Trombley played it in his Chulain deck, so thusly like playing a bunch of lands. So he stole Adam's Yarok, which then started double stealing whenever a land came into play. That got ridiculous. Yeah, we lost that game for sure.
Yeah,
Trombley beat us with their own decks.
The dumbest game we played was when
that one sucked.
Trombley and Jeremy had Ristics and Smothering Tithes out, and then
Jeremy and Trombley had Ristic Study, and then Trombley had Smothering Tithe. And there were multiple times with Smothering Tithe, but this one he was over like 20 life.
Then he played the Praetor, the blue Praetor,
Gataxius,
and freaking.
So he has shit tons of mana, and we discard our hand essentially at the end of our turn.
Yeah, that was
miserable.
It was a boring game,
and he just kept on. I don't know how to kill you guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, half its deck in his hand.
God.
Our turns were 10 seconds long, and then their turns, because then Jeremy had a Reliquary Tower, and so did Trombley. And so they both didn't have to discard. And so when it got to their turns were about a half an hour apiece.
Game only lasted an hour and a half, though.
Was it really only an hour and a half?
But we didn't play more than 10 or like a minute of it.
It was boring as hell. All right, should we move into the next segment? I don't know. Which one do we want to go to? Should we... If we're going into Grinds My Gears, we do this. If we're going into How to Cut Cards, we do that. Which one do you want to do? No whammy, no whammy, no whammy.
Let's do the cards to cut. All right.
We're gonna end on a negative note. No, I'm just kidding.
That is what's gonna happen.
Okay, so where do we want to go with this? How do you cut cards?
So essentially, there are. Mr. Bowman on Twitter was just like, I have 108 cards. I need to get down to, the 99. And I was just a dickhead. And I wasn't being a dickhead, but apparently I am. It's just like,
yes, you are.
just cut the cards, get it down to 99, play around with it, and see what you need, what you don't need, what you have too much of. I think you need to get some games in that way. And then, number 2 and Trombley both were like, but fucking how do you do it?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
That's what I've been saying forever. I want to keep all of these cards.
Keep it simple. It's just cut those cards.
But they're awesome.
Cut them.
No.
Okay, so this is part of the problem of cutting cards is because you have that attachment because you think it's your idea, or you really
think
like
it's your idea. It's not.
I don't know.
It's not really your idea, but you think it is.
You think it is.
Make you feel good about yourself, but it's not your idea.
Didn't say that.
You totally did.
This is kind of why I got targeted as well this weekend, which is fine. I don't have any problems with that.
Not bitter at all.
Nope.
We didn't even just bring it up now.
Started reacting unrashly.
Oh, so the thing is I'm on their side with it. It's tough, man. Like you get this idea
For cutting cards.
yeah, and you have
We're getting targeted for
all.
the week.
Not bitter at all. You have all these cards that work with this idea that you have, and it's like, man, but I don't want to cut this because this is the idea of it, and I don't want to cut this because normally you're not just doing one thing; it's normally a couple things going on in the deck, and so it gets tough. And then you got to fit in the ones that you're supposed to have in there, your soul rings and all that stuff, and it's just like shit. I want these combo pieces. So really, what we've talked about in past episodes is you're really only dealing with about 30, 40 cards that are different than any other deck, but I will give a hint to my fellow CommanderSmith meat forcers that have trouble doing this. The last 2 decks, putting it on tapped out before it's ready, like when I'm at that
like 120,
130 or whatever. Yeah, I guess it's about 120 is normally where I'm at. You put the lands on there, you put the cards on there. Yes, you're going to be mono-screwed, but don't play it like that. Just play it with how the cards go. Pretend like you're getting a land each turn and playing it down.
Appropriately made.
Yeah.
Unlike putting 36 lands. Probably 38 to 40 if you want to play a land every turn appropriately.
Whatever. But what's kind of nice is you go on and you put it on tapped out.
Lands.
And the thing is like, that's kind of a cool thing too, is if you guys go on tapped out, put it on there. You can share that deck with us and stuff if you want us to check it out or whatever. But it's a very good engine to you can play test it and you can go through and see how it's running, what cards aren't working, and that helped me cut.
I think it's also like, man, I just got this fat hand that I can't get rid of. Then you can go and look. It has the CMC of your deck, average CMC, and I'm fine if I'm in the 3s, like anywhere. Some people, the lower the better technically.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with the 3s because for me, I end up concentrating pretty heavily in the 3, 4, 5 converted mana cost cards. Then 6 and above, I don't have a ton.
Handful of those.
Yeah, so that I'm able to play multiple spells, and that's kind of a play style personality. Like I want to be able to draw. Drawing a bunch of cards is important, but also just being able to play those cards as well gives you that advantage. So you're always being able to recycle your hand and then just get to your 6+ mana spells. And those are, your bombs where you're just like, okay, this is time to be doing this. You don't want a fat stack of bombs in your hand to start the game because you're not doing shit. And so if you have too many of those and you're going, I can't do anything for the first 4 turns, you need to cut some of the big cards.
Yeah. And
that's an indicator right there. Just if you have a fat hand and you just can't unload your cards and you're always like, man, I'm not playing cards, either you need to up your land or cut fat cards. That's a huge indicator for me. Again, like if I'm 6+, I would say I have 5 to 8 of them in the deck. And when it's in 6 is going to be heavier than above 6 converted mana cost. And I count X spells in there as well.
As what?
As fat.
Okay. You don't count. Okay.
So they are a little bit more modular, but I want them to be a fat card.
Yeah.
So I'm not putting them in there to cast an X spell for 3. You know what I mean? And so I don't want that many fat cards in there. So having that CMC at 3 to 4 makes sense to me because I'm going, okay, I'm going to be able to play realistically turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, and know that I'm going to get to the fat cards pretty easy after that. Because setup's important. If you're running out of cards, that's another thing. Like, okay, I need more card draw. And so I don't want to cut card draw. I want to add it in. If I'm ramping a ton, maybe take out a ramp card, put in a draw card.
Yeah.
If you're feeling like it's too fat, then you take out a big card, add in a cheap draw card.
Yeah.
Those are some really, really important things. It's just, I like my card draw and my ramp pretty cheap. And again, I want my fat cards to be doing something.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. But cutting cards, for me, again, I just go CMC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down, see if something's a little off. So again, I can see if my 6 and my 8s are huge, and then I can go, okay, that's not on theme, that's not on theme. And you're able to just kind of, part of it is you want to boil it down. Go, is this on theme or is this what I want going on in the deck? And if you just like, if you say to yourself, but it's a cool card, just that should tell you cut it.
Gotta keep it.
Seriously,
it's
just
a cool
cut it.
card.
But again,
That's
you're
the thing
trying
too.
to get down to the 99.
Yeah.
So just cut it. And if you still want it in there, you're like, I want to try that. Then you need to find something comparable.
A lot of people have their pet cards that they want to have in there, but they might not fit in the theme at all.
Yep.
What you're trying to do, it's just a card that's good, like. But you really should try to think of, okay, what is my deck doing? Do I really need this card? Yeah, it's a good card, but this is doesn't fit in with what the deck is doing at all. Like,
ask yourself, like, this really good card, using Teferi's Protection. You'll disagree with me on this, but if I go like, you know what, I have Eerie Interlude in Feather, which totally makes more sense. Does a very similar thing to Teferi's Protection, like saving your creatures. Because that you can target your creatures, bounce them away, and then it goes back into play because of Feather or back into your hand. Very similar. I don't run Teferi's Protection because I have something more on theme.
No, I get that you don't.
But I'm just saying that is a mentality that you can do for cutting.
Yeah.
And that creates a different vibe from your deck, even though it's a similar effect. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So cutting cards for theme is a way to look at it. Another thing,
I was gonna say, I'll give an example. Like, Mind's Dilation is a fucking good card, but it just doesn't go into decks.
it's a fat card. Does nothing until you cast another spell.
Yeah, and it's like,
or is it your opponent's spells?
Opponent's spells.
Okay.
Yeah, but still, it's like, what does that fit into? That's just a good card. It isn't fitting into a deck.
It works in like Rash Me, where you're playing off the top of your, but that's a little off.
Yeah. You're playing off the top of that. But still, like, I bought that card being like, hell yeah. That was years ago. I actually spec'd on it because it's a good card, but it's like, where does that fit in? Like, it's such a huge casting cost. When it's out in play, yeah, it's really good, but it's a tough card to put it. It's a pet card, I think that's why that card really hasn't gone crazy.
And I think pet cards are a little bit of a trap. You got to make sure that, like, sometimes you want to put in a bunch of decks because you're like, oh, I love this card. Sometimes, like, I want to really try it out, so you put in a bunch of decks. And then sometimes, you can defend against it, or sometimes you just got to admit, like, this card just isn't good. Like, for me, it's Opposition. I fit that, like, it's an enchantment. I love it. It's tap one of your creatures, tap down any other creature or land or artifact on the board, I think. And I love that card. But it's not good. Whenever I talk about it, like, I cut it afterwards. I'm like, play it, not good enough in here.
See, and I would think that would be in a deck that has a tap theme or does things with tapping, and that's where I would use that card. But yeah, like,
but even then, like, it's almost like a little too fat for what you have going on, because you want a bunch of small creatures almost to take advantage of the entire board. But at the end, like, it kind of doesn't. It just kind of saves you for a while, but it doesn't move the game forward.
You know what that would be good with is there's those two. Remember they did those. What abilities? When they tap, they deal something. So they have that Sphinx that when it taps, is it drawing cards? And then you have the King that gives you gold
King
tokens.
Makar.
Yeah, and then there's the
it
Sphinx.
works in those.
So that would be sweet. So that's the kind of deck that would fit. But that's what I'm saying is, like, it'd have to fit in a theme of a deck for that.
So yeah, but again, it's something that I try and fit in, and that's something that you need to be conscious about. Is like, am I just fitting this in because I like the card? And I also have it in multiple decks, so like, be a little bit more like, you know what? It doesn't really work. I just love the card. That tells you that you got to back off on it.
Yeah,
that's another way to look. The other thing that I do, like, I do 3 different piles. So I do the converted mana cost, 1 all the way up to 6 plus. And then the next pile that I do is I just go artifacts, enchantments, instants, sorceries, creatures, planeswalkers, and land are always kind of on their own. But in just going like, what's the distribution? What am I doing? Am I trying to take advantage of anyway? Like, I don't want as many creatures in this deck because then I can wrath more consistently and not have it be card disadvantage for me. Or, so like me and Trombley were talking last night. He has Chulane. He's like, man, it'd be kind of nice to just be able to continue to play cards. So I need to lower my his curve. And I was like, well, also take a look at your instants and sorceries and see if there's creatures that do the similar things. So instead of Farseek, go with, I think it's Elvish Pioneer, or something that puts a land into your hand that you can kind of cheat out later. And I think you already had that card in there, but take out the Farseeks and add in a creature.
Yeah,
stuff like that. If you want to lean towards it, so that should help you go, I have too many spells in this creature deck, or I have too many creatures in this spell deck. In Niv Mizzet. So it kind of helps you look at the distribution, or just going, like, man, I only have like 2 enchantments in here. Like, I could run an enchantment wrath that takes care of a lot of things instead of. So like,
that's a good point there. Yeah.
So those are the things that help you look at and just going, you know what, I can take advantage, but also I don't need as many cards in there, so I can cut from that section easier. And then the next thing that I do is I break it up into draw spells, ramp. Do I have any graveyard hate or some type of hate in there? What are my themes that are going on? Like with you, it'd be like reanimation spells, discard spells, and stuff like that. And going, do I have enough in there? Like you're saying, 7 or more creates a theme. And so you want to be doing that theme more often. And if you don't have enough, is that really a theme that you can push? So maybe those are easy cuts.
Yeah.
Or going, I need to add more onto that, which is not cutting, but it helps you know what your themes are.
Yeah. So you do this all before you put it on tapped out, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So I will say I'll keep vouching for tapped out because this has been helping me. What Lowry is just saying there is if you put it all on there, you can check the stats and it breaks it all down for how many creatures, how many enchantments, all the sorceries and all that stuff. And I'll say one other thing that's nice about it is, you can thumb through your cards, rather quickly. But the cool thing is you can just scroll over each of the cards on tapped out and see it. And so that's been an easier cut for me because normally when I do it beforehand, like if I have the physical cards, I make the stack and I have 10 cards to cut. I go through the deck and it takes me a half hour and I cut one card and then I go through the deck again and so it's helped me just go through it and be like, okay, exactly everything that you're saying there except on tapped out has helped me. I'll do it that way.
And I would also say I think that's probably a preference thing because for me, digital doesn't really do a whole ton. Like I need to tactily be able to see it, and then also like I can have the 2 cards next to each other going, I don't like you. But I don't know what to replace with you. You're so bad.
Next to each other. I am proud of you, but you suck. You're out of here.
And then, so the other thing though is too, is like, just keep those cards nearby that you cut.
Yeah. So that's why I have my sideboard.
Yeah. You have a sideboard where you're like, I don't really like this going on. Let me add this in to try and get that effect. Because, if you're not able to deal with board presence, you got to add more removal in.
Yeah.
If you're not drawing enough cards, you got to add in card draw. If you're feeling just left behind, or again, the only number that I specifically pick is my land base. Like I don't sit there and go, I need 12 ramp spells, but it's a general number that I do. So like when you're talking about the numbers, like that part, I want to be able to see how many kill spells I have and just go, is that enough? Is it working? Does it even fit in here? Like green blue is just kind of horse shit at killing creatures for the most part. The 5 spells you can do. Not sure you can do much more.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just kind of effed on that.
Yeah.
But being able to deal with enchantments, artifacts, Cyclonic Rift is so big because blue has a problem with removal. That's a huge reason. There's just a lack of options. And so that again, another part of it is just being able to go, I don't like these two. Let's switch in these two that are in a similar converted mana cost. And so that's a big process that I go through. And generally I'll cut 10. And it helps, like, just going through that once when I start off with 180 cards, that generally drops me about 40. Mm-hmm. And that's an easy one, gets me there. And then I kind of just continue to go, and it's a little bit of like a distilling process. Just going, this card's just better than this. These two are kind of similar, but this is a higher converted mana cost. I don't need more of them, so then cut the higher one. Sometimes you're like, I just don't have enough punch, kind of like with my Euro deck. It's not fat enough.
Yeah, you're so excited about your Euro.
I really like it, but it didn't do anything. So like I got to sit back and go, I don't have enough fat in there. Mm-hmm. So I need to go and find something else.
Mm-hmm. You had enough mana.
Yeah, I had enough. Easy, quick. But it wasn't drawing enough.
And that's the thing. That's playing it through and seeing it, because you were goldfishing it before.
And it felt really good.
But then once you get an actual players around and seeing what's happening.
Wasn't doing anything.
So that's the other part. After the testing of all that, you're testing it out and you got your deck. That's why you keep the cards at the side, because you go and you play against actual human beings and it doesn't do what you were thinking.
They target you all weekend.
Not bitter at all. All right. Should we move on to some other things?
Digitally, you're able to do your thing. I think also just consistently doing it. Again, that's part of just make decks. Making more decks is going to make it easier for you, I think.
It's so hard to do that. Plus, just
don't love your decks.
I don't know if it's just a me thing but I don't like to just build a deck to build it. Like I want to like it. Like this deck I like when it's consuming me, where I'm thinking about it, like I'm driving to where we're going for 45 minutes. All I'm doing is thinking about, oh, this is going to be sweet if I do this, and like trying to figure it out. That's when I know I love the deck. Where it's just building a deck to build a deck, I don't like doing that as much, because it doesn't. I'm not going to play it very often.
Sure,
you know what I'm saying. But like the last two, especially Kroxa, I think Kroxa's hit a point where this one I really, really like playing. Like was when during the build, it was how I felt before we even did this podcast. Not that all these decks that I build don't have that feeling, but it used to take me.
Stop apologizing to your babies. It's fine.
I love all of you equally, but this one had that, like, I'm really trying to figure out a different, unique way.
Just be ruthless. Just cut the fucking cards.
Slimefoot, I hate you. Just kidding. That's one deck. That's the one deck I didn't play this weekend out of all the ones that we built since we've done the podcast. Slimefoot.
Oh, you mean between you and Joe?
Yeah.
Because you only played like 3 decks. Personally.
I played Yuriko. I played Tolsimir. I played Teysa.
I remember that one. You did play Teysa.
I played Vraska. I played Perforos. I played Kroxa. I played... what else did I play? Trying to go through. I didn't do the coin flip. I didn't do coin flip.
One apiece for everything except for Perforos and Kroxa.
I might have played Tolsimir twice.
I don't remember that.
And Perforos, I think I only played once. Got my win and I was done. And then everything else was Kroxa.
God, I would have only played 3 decks then if we were basing it off of winning.
Yeah. You're basing off of winning. You only played 2 decks.
Well, you start your first one, win, next one, win, next one. That's 3 decks.
Oh, what? I'm confused what you're saying.
You start off with 1 deck.
Yeah.
Then you win.
Oh, then I get you.
Then you go to the next one. Then you win. Then the third one.
Gotcha. That's
what I would have done. That would have sucked. Even worse.
All right, let's move into our last segment.
Ow! I'm just overreacting.
Yeah. Ow, my ears hurt.
My ears, they're bleeding.
Okay, so you guys, if you follow us on Twitter, you may have seen some...
We just... little message. Nothing big. And there isn't like any...
No, it's not
motion.
crazy. No. But we did... So we did that Power Commanders
Power 9.
Power 6-9. 69? 69.
Yeah.
And I did mention 2 weeks ago that
You're just like, watch, somebody much bigger is going to kind of take this idea.
and lo and behold, Mr.
Somebody did.
Yeah.
Somebody did.
So Derek just tweeted us. It's like,
Just at CommanderSmiths.
here's the video. And so Commander's quarters,
They're pretty big.
they're actually out of Minnesota as well.
Out of Minnesota. We don't know each other.
No, but somebody,
not
I
talk about
don't
this.
remember if Derek tried to introduce
Somebody
us.
was like, hey, you guys should get together.
Yeah, one of
We never
one of
talked
you
to them.
guys. Sorry if we were saying the wrong person. But they're like, hey, this is CommanderSmiths. Hey, this is Commander's Core. Now you
It
guys
doesn't
know each
feel
other.
that long ago either.
Yeah, so it was like, all right, we didn't talk or anything with that, but Derek sent that video, and guess what happened? They made a video yesterday
For
as
Commander's
of
Power 9.
Sunday or Saturday it would
Saturday.
be. It popped up, and yeah, it was.
And yeah.
There was no. Hey,
It would. Yeah.
I don't know
I
if
think it
there's
would
a-
have just been nice to. Hey, I heard this on the CommanderSmiths. Because
This
every
would be a
time we
com-
hear something and we want to talk about it, we go, we heard X person
yeah,
talking about it. We tag them. They ignore us. That's fine.
yeah,
But it's at least going like, hey, we got this idea from
yeah. We're not.
this person.
We try
or-
to from learning from school. When you're writing a paper, you cite who you
And
are
we have
getting
no
your
idea
information.
if they even heard of us at all. It could be.
It could be a
It
coincidence that
seems
this.
odd. Just seems odd.
And we're not going to say it was an original idea. Like I didn't take it from anything else.
Once we saw that, I was like, well, are we
Let's
just being
go.
stuck up? Let's go and check it out. There
So
was
two things. There was one back in 2013. Was it a Salvation article?
Yeah. Well,
And-
it was an article. It was just a discussion thing, and it was very
Yeah, not articles. And
Different.
that's exactly it. And then there was one more from Reddit a year ago around this time.
yeah.
That was another one.
And we're
of-
clearly not on Reddit.
yeah, I don't even know how to use
We're
Reddit.
hardly on Twitter.
We just Google searched it.
yeah, we just Google and Reddit. But like we don't post there. We don't. We probably should put our shows there, and I think people like Reddit.
Yeah, they do, but I don't know. But anyways,
Those are the
top
two.
search
Once we
was-
actually looked, it's like, okay, those are the two things. But there aren't any like content creators. There wasn't a Power 9 for Commander from content creators that we could find.
yeah. So
And if you type in Commander Power 9, you don't find us either because
No.
we put Commander 6.
you find theirs,
Yeah, you find theirs, but
Commander's
it's a lot
quarters,
bigger
yeah.
than ours too. But
that's fine.
we put Commander 6.9, so
yeah.
makes it pretty tough. Sake of the joke.
So the funny it'd be a completely different situation if it was just like, hey, this podcast came up with this here, or just a little like, got this from these
But
guys.
maybe
that.
things on YouTube are
Yeah, I
a
was
little
gonna
bit
say,
different too.
maybe
because they're
there's
not
no
a podcast; they do YouTube.
etiquette
stuff.
with YouTube stuff. I don't know how that all works, but it would have been cool to have just been like, that would have been such an awesome feeling. Been like, oh fuck yeah, Commander's Quarters gave us a shout out with that. We're a little podcast, but instead it was just boom. So
Not that we saw. Maybe we're wrong.
what?
Did you listen all the way through?
Yeah, I did.
I didn't.
I did. I was like, I just want to see credits beginning nowhere. Yeah, it was never mentioned. But you
called it.
Yeah,
I didn't think it. And so it feels.
It
We don't know.
feels.
We don't know shit.
That's what happens when you have a little podcast and we don't have a big draw, or we have a big draw, but we don't have
You're
the
all
draw
special.
that they have.
You're all special.
Yeah. And thanks, Derek, for pointing it out. But yeah, I was just
was-
like walking around the cabin, just going, Rage! I just want. So I just tweeted out, and I was like, hey, because in the video it says, what is your guys' list? And everybody.
You just posted our podcast.
Yeah, I went on their YouTube and I was like, yeah, we just did that same thing last week. Maybe you heard it. And then I posted our podcast.
Also
No
not
response. The funny
better.
thing is all the other comments have like likes and comments and whatever. Ours is the only one that doesn't have anything. But I mean, so it's funny because, and that's why I quote, like, whenever we, like you said, if we mention,
We
Lawyer
try.
Academy
Sometimes
or
we just go,
Fast
we heard
Finance.
it, can't remember where. Like that happens too.
Yeah. But
So,
this is
I don't know.
whatever, obvious.
Is everybody supposed to feel like they're doing something original?
No,
Is that what's happening?
I guess. I don't know.
I don't watch enough to know if people do shout outs for where they got ideas from.
I guess it just sucks. I mean, let's say we're 5 years down the road and our podcast reaches their numbers or whatever numbers.
Yeah, that's likely.
And we get an idea from somebody else that we're listening to, I'm fucking for sure gonna say something.
Especially now.
At least,
I don't want to be a hypocrite.
At least give me a kiss before you're gonna put it up my butt. Like, I don't know. You're gonna
I don't think it's that bad.
Like, I don't know. It's just, we're a little podcast. A little shout out would have been nice if you're gonna steal it. 6 out of the 9.
And if you don't know who
6
we
out
are,
of the 9. And if
none of this counts.
And if you add,
because then we're assholes. We're probably still assholes.
Isn't that funny though? Ours was the Commander 69, and 6 out of the 9 are from our list.
They fucking did it on purpose.
But if we took in the account that Smothering Tithe, we just did those 2 new, then we'd have 7 out of 9, or whatever.
After this weekend, it's Power 9.
Yeah.
96 treasures. What the fuck?
Yeah.
He had no cards in his hand.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. Smothering Tithe is ridiculous. But anyways, that's pretty much it.
If we're overreacting, or if Adam's overreacting,
I wish we
let
had
us
done
know
it yesterday, because he would have been right on board, just been like, those motherfuckers.
I don't swear.
No, yes you do. Lots. It's recorded. It's on. I don't bleep you. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not mad.
It's gonna be okay.
This is a perfect hit. I'm totally just disappointed. That is the opportunity right there that somebody could have just been like, "Hey, thanks guys. You guys are doing good content, and then I'm doing this, and we're a big podcast, and we're taking your idea and we're doing our list, and we're gonna get a shit ton
going
of
with a CMD Tower. Anytime they're doing things or work with somebody or they do something,
they give out shout outs left and right. It's awesome.
Sweet.
And we do the same if we talk about anything that they do, or Fast Finance, Goldfish,
Tellurian Academy.
Yeah, we've commands on
those
all
are the
those.
the moan. The moan.
Those are the ones that we've quoted from the past. I don't think there's number 2. Oh shit. Where is it?
Hey, number 2.
There we go.
Had to get it in there.
Hey, number 2.
Hey guys.
When he had his podcast, we give them shout outs whenever we talk.
So,
that's the thing, is like, spread the love.
Maybe it's a culture difference. They're like probably in the city somewhere.
I was going to say they're in the South Metro or in the North Metro.
That could be.
Wait, you're in the South Metro.
Kind of.
Shit.
It's weird down there. I don't know where they're at. They're in Minnesota somewhere.
No. Yeah, anyways. There's so much I could go on with this, but I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. They're probably good guys, whatever. You guys, a lot of our listeners probably listen to them. Their videos, I've watched a couple of their videos. I'm going to tag them on this that I watched.
Jesus. Just kidding. Give them credit.
Yep, give them credit where credit's due. But it's just...
They don't care.
I don't know.
I don't even know if it's a they. It's probably a they.
I don't know. Cool story here.
Cool story.
Hey, you got it right. Did you guess, or do you remember that?
I'm getting it.
You're getting it?
Getting it down.
Good job, because I even had the buttons all ready to go to end our episode. All right, so that is pretty much it. Thanks for looking out and sending that to us, because it's Derek. I'm talking to you, buddy.
Don't give him a shout out. We're not supposed to do that.
Why not? I didn't give his last name,
because other people don't do it.
So Commander Quarters. That was good. High five. Because other people don't do it. Oh, that's gonna be our tagline for sure. Don't give him a shout out, because other people don't do it. That's gold, Larry. I like that we were ending on that. All right.
On a positive note.
That was awesome. All right. Well, that should do it for this week. We will catch you guys next week.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.
Sega.